Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are good. So from today we are going to start the lectures on finite element method. So first we will see the introduction of finite element method. What do you mean by this subject? In this subject what we need to study? What are the technical terms that are important in this subject that you should know, otherwise there will be no use of learning this subject. So these parameters we will see in this lecture, and then we will continue with the syllabus, whatever the syllabus is there for this subject. So this is just an introduction video, and this is very important for this subject, because if you don't know the basic introduction of this subject you cannot move further. Okay, so let's start. First question that arises in your mind is, what is this finite element method? Because this subject is new for you, so finite element method is nothing, and it is a numerical technique. Okay, numerical technique for finding approximate solution to a boundary value problems by using partial differential equations. Means from here you got three things. First is numerical technique, second one is approximation solution, and then boundary value problems. Means if you will see, this finite element method is a nothing approximate method. Approximate method, because in a structural analysis you might have studied two types of method, that is exact method and approximate method. So this subject comes under that approximation method, means approximate method. Then second one is, it is a numerical technique. Numerical technique means it is a numerical method. And third one is boundary value problems. Boundary value problems. Okay, so approximation method, you might understand this term approximation method, because if any problem, if you are analyzing a problem by using the methods which are given in a structure analysis, there will be two different methods, that is exact method and approximation method. So this finite element method, whole subjects come under this approximation method. Then second one is numerical method, and third is boundary value problems. What is this boundary value problems? We will see when we will move further in this introduction video. We will come to know what is this boundary condition, boundary values, by using this partial differential equation. Whatever the partial differential equations are there, we will use that partial differential equation for analysis of this type of problem. That is nothing finite element method. What are that partial differential method? Differential equations, relation between load, shear force, relation between load and moment, okay, relation between load and slope, relation between load and curvature. These, from there we will get this partial differential equation. So we will use that equations in this method. Now the second point you can see here, in simple terms, FEM is a method for dividing up a very complicated problem into small elements that can be solved in relation to each other. So what is the advantage? This, you can say that this is the advantage of this subject, that we can solve the very complicated problem also. Suppose I have given a structure like this. So is it possible to solve it by using a structure analysis method? If you will go also, then it will be very complicated for you to solve this type of problem, this type of structure, by using a structure analysis method, whatever the methods are there. So to make it easy, what we have done, we have divided this structure like this into a very small elements. Just divide this structure like this. Now these are the small elements, right? We can divide it further also. This is triangular element, this is some, you can say, spherical like that, half hemisphere, rectangular element. So we have divided this elements, complete structure, into this small elements. This is called as elements. Whatever the small portion is there, that is called as element. These are called as element or finite element, also called as finite element. So we have divided this complete structure into small elements. Now we can analyze this small element easily, and if we will combine that, we will get the analysis of this whole structure. Now your elements are in the shape of triangle, rectangle. So you know how to analyze this triangular element, you know how to analyze this rectangular element. So just you need to do what we need to do. We need to analyze this rectangular and triangular elements, and when we will add all, we'll get the analysis of total structure. This is the basic concept of this finite element method. Means this process is called as discretization of structure. Discretization means breaking down of the complete structure, total structure into small elements is called as discretization. Okay. So FEM method is basically based on this concept that we need to discretize the structure. We need to divide the structure into small elements. Now, third point, useful for problems with complicated geometries, loading, material properties where analytical solution cannot be obtained. Same I have given you the example here. You can see this is the example of complicated geometry. So if complicated geometry is there, we can go for FEM. Complicated loading condition is there, then obviously we can go for this FEM. If material property is changing continuously, suppose we have a bar element like this, and continuously that material property is changing, means this is your steel, this is aluminium, suppose this is iron, okay, area also changing. Let's take this is A1, this is A2, this is A3. So area of the structure element is also changing, as well as the property is also changing, because if a steel, aluminium and iron, if you will see, then obviously the E value, Young's modulus of these three elements will be different. So here what is happening, the material property is changing. Okay, the material property, you can say this is complicated material property, means this is complex material, because overall we have to analyze the total structure. This is the complete structure, we have to analyze this structure, but in this we have three different materials. So that type of material is called as composite material. So analysis of composite materials we can do by this finite element method. And then complicated loadings also, suppose here also there is some loading, here I have given some loading, here some load is there. So this in between loads also, if we are applying this in between loads, it will be difficult to analyze this by using any analytical method. So we will go for this FEM. So by this I hope you will be understanding this, the concept of this finite element method, on what basis we will go for the analysis in this finite element method. Now next question is, how does finite element method work? Now first you got that what is finite element method. Now next comes, okay, finite element method, I understood this, these are the things in finite element, but how does it work? How we will approach for solution of any problem by using this finite element method? So FEM uses a complex system of points called as nodes. Okay, here in this finite element method, we can say this as a nodal analysis also. We can say this as nodal analysis. Why nodal analysis you can say? Because we analyze everything according to nodes. Now what is that nodes? I will tell you later, see, which makes a grid called as mesh. This mesh is programmed to contain the material and structural property. This will contain the material property as well as structural properties, which define how the structure will react to certain loading condition. Means that nodes, at nodes only you will get to know how this structure is going to behave when we are giving some loads over that. So suppose we have a beam element like this, or let's take a bar element. First we'll take some example of bar element. Okay, so here what we need to do, this you can see, this is a bar element, then we'll take the nodes. Where we will take the nodes? At this point, at both the ends we will take the nodes and we'll give it a number like node number 1 and node number 2. Now when we will analyze this, we will analyze for node 1 and we will analyze for node 2. Means what we need to find? We need to find displacement, we need to find displacement, stress, strain, Where we will find? We will find at nodes itself. Means at node 1 what is the displacement, at node 2 what is the displacement. Okay, here at node 1 displacement will be 0 because this is fixed end support. So we'll discuss this also in degree of freedom in next slides, upcoming slides. So here some displacement will be there. How much is that displacement we will find. So at nodes only we are going to find displacement, strain, whatever we want, just we will find at nodes. That's why I told you, you can see it as a nodal analysis also. Now there is something to understand here also, how to select the node. So in the upcoming slides we will discuss about these nodes in details, as well as the selection of nodes, where we need to select the nodes. Okay. So next, nodes are assigned at a certain density throughout the material depending on the anticipated stress level of the particular area. So this is all about where we should select the nodes. So we will discuss it in details when that nodes slide will come. Okay. So you can understand from these things that it will work. How does it work? It works on basically nodes. So selection of nodes is very, very important in finite element method. Next, regions which will receive large amount of stress usually have a higher node density than those which experiences little or no stress. Means suppose some structure is there. Here we are going some loading condition we have given, and here in this portion the stress is going to be more. The stress is going to be more, and in this portion the stress is going to be very less. So what we will do, we will take multiple nodes in this area. Suppose we are taking 4 nodes in between this area where the nodes are more, and where the stress are more. Where the stress is less, we can select 2 or 3 nodes, that's enough. So the number of nodes will be where more in the area where the stress will be more generally. So point of interest may consist of fracture point of previously tested material, filters, corners, complex details, and high stress area. These all we will discuss. These all depends are the criteria to select the node, where we need to select the nodes. The mesh act like a spider web in that form. Each node there extend a mesh element to each of the adjacent node. This web of vectors is what carries the material property of the object, creating many elements. What does it mean now? Let's take an example. We have this sentence. What does it mean? So let's see this in a very easy manner. We have selected nodes here. So what I told, first we need to select at the corners. Now here the material property is changing. I will tell you that later on in the node where the slide will be there on nodes. Here we need to select the node. So let's take, we have taken 3 nodes, node number 1, node number 2, node number 3. Now you can see in between this we call it as element number 1, and this we call it as element number 2, because we have divided into 2 portions, first portion and this is the second portion. So this element number 1 is lying between node number 1 and node number 2, whereas this element number 2 lies between node number 2 and node number 3. So you can see where one element is ending, from there only the another element is starting. Means at the same node, this is the common node for this element 1 and element 2 also. Here the element 1 is ending up, and here from here the element 2 is starting. So that is what it is saying, the various wave of the vectors in what carries the material property, creating many elements. Mesh elements to each of the adjacent nodes, means adjacent nodes. After that element number 2 will start, before this element number 1 is there. So this is all about how does the finite element method works. Now we will go for the next slide. So type of engineering analysis. What type of engineering analysis we will do by using this FEM? This is not only for civil engineering. This is not only for civil engineering, right? This is used in mechanical also. This is used in aircraft engineering also. This is used in electrical engineering also. So this is used in nearly all the branches. We can say all the branches except some branches. Nearly all the branches are using this method for analysis of their problems. So what type of problem we can analyze by using this? So types of engineering analysis, first one is structural analysis. So what we will study, that is this structural analysis, because in civil engineering whatever the structures are there, that can be analyzed by this method. So first one is structural analysis, consists of linear and non-linear model also. So here it is not a only linear problems, we can solve for non-linear problems also. Linear models use simple parameters and assume that material is not plastically deformed, whereas non-linear models consist stressing the material past its elastic capability. The stress in the material then vary with the amount of deformation. So linear and non-linear both both type of problem we can solve by using this FEM in a structural analysis. Okay, because in most of the methods only linear problems we will not solve the non-linear problems, but here by using this FEM we can solve for non-linear problems also. Next is vibrational analysis. This is used for generally mechanical branches, or heat analysis also is there for mechanical. For civil you can go for fluid mechanics also. For fluid mechanics also, for civil it's there. We can use this FEM in fluid mechanics. For mechanical, vibrational analysis, heat analysis, and this vibrational analysis is somewhat useful for civil also regarding bridges. Because bridges, on suppose we have a bridge here, so whenever the vehicle will pass over it, what will happen? It will vibrate, start vibrating, right? So this vibrational analysis is useful for us also as well as mechanical also. So it is used to test a material against random vibrations, shocks and impact. Each of these incidents may act on natural vibration frequency of the material, which may cause resonance as well as subsequent failure also. So vibrational analysis also we can use do by this FEM. Suppose vibrations, how much maximum vibration it can bear. After that what happen? It will fail. So that analysis we can do by using this FEM. Heat transfer analysis, already I told you this is used for mechanical beams. If you will take any machine, then what will happen? When we will use it, it will heat up. So due to this heat up, what will happen? Due to this heat, thermal stress will generate. Thermal stress, strain will generate here, right? So the thing is same. We are analysis for stress strain there also, but we are going for thermal stress and strain, because there is the stress developed in that material or strain developed in that material is due to heat. That's why it is called as thermal stress and thermal stress, right? So this is also useful for mechanical students. Now how can the FEM help the design engineer? If you are willing to go into the field of design engineering, how this subject will help you out there? So it is easily applied to complex irregular shaped objects composed of several different materials and having complex boundary conditions. So whatever be the problem, let it be whatever be the problem, whether it is complex boundary conditions, several different materials, composite material is there, shape is irregular, whatever be the thing, you can solve this or analyze this problem by using this FEM. Applicable to steady state, time dependent, eigenvalue problems and linear and non-linear problems also. Already we have discussed earlier, this method is useful in linear as well as non-linear problems also. Now one method can solve a wide variety of problems, including problems in solid mechanics, fluid mechanics, chemical reaction, electromagnetics, biomechanics, heat transfer and so on, right? Structural analysis also you can add here. So these many types of problem can be solved by a single method, FEM. So if you know this subject, you can work in mechanical also department also, because if you know this subject, you can solve the heat transfer problem also. You can go for fluid mechanics also. Even fluid mechanics is useful for us also in civil engineering. You can go for solid mechanics also, that is also useful for mechanical as well as civil. Okay, so in this way this FEM can help the design engineer. Now next, what are the basic steps involved in this FEM? What will be the steps we should follow when we are going to analyze any problem by this method, finite element method? So first one is discretization. Discretization, you know, breaking down. Discretization means nothing, breaking down the complete structure into small elements called as elements or finite element. So first method is discretization. We have to break that complete structure into small portions, that is called as elements or finite elements. Selection of approximation of functions. We need to select the polynomial function. Approximate polynomial function. Okay. So when we will go for the analysis, we will see how we will select the polynomial function, what is the method to select the polynomial function, on what criteria that polynomial function will depend. Then coming to elementary stiffness matrix, we need to create the stiffness matrix. For what? Elemental stiffness matrix. Suppose we have two elements here, element number 1, element number 2. So we will have two stiffness matrix, K1 and K2. K1 is for first element, K2 is for second element. Now the next step will be total matrix, means we need to find the K matrix, that is nothing, K1 plus K2. So how we will do this K1 plus K2, that again we will see when we will go for the analysis of any problem. Then formation of element loading matrix. Then we will show the loading conditions. For elemental loading condition means for this, suppose this is F1 and this is F1, loading F2, loading condition. Then we will go for the total loading condition. So F is nothing, F1 plus F2. First we are going for the element, because we are doing that element analysis here, node analysis. So first we are seeing for element and then we are adding up to get the thing for total structure. The next is formation of oval or equilibrium equation. Then we will use the equilibrium equation and then we will apply the boundary condition, and that is equilibrium equation, F is equal to K into delta. By using this equation, this is the basic equation we will use in FEM. This will be used in matrix form, F is equal to K into delta. Now here we will apply the boundary conditions. What will be the boundary condition, how we will see the boundary condition, we will see in the next upcoming slides. Then calculation of unknown nodal displacement. Nodal, this is the displacement matrix. This is your stiffness matrix and this is your load vector. Means this is total load, this is total stiffness and this is displacement. So suppose we have two nodes here, node number 1, node number 2, a bar element. So let's take displacement here as U1 and let's take displacement here as U2. So if you will apply the boundary condition here, you will get U1 is equal to 0 because this is fixed end. So if any fixed end is there, then automatically their displacement will be 0. So what is unknown? Unknown is U2. So you need to find the U2. That is nothing, unknown nodal displacement, and then by using that displacement we can find stress and strain. So these are the steps we need to follow. Basically, if you will see, discretization is important, first element. Then we need to find a stiffness matrix. Okay, stiffness means total, I am talking about total, not elemental. Then stiffness, then load we need to find. Then we will apply the equation, this F is equal to K delta, apply boundary condition and then find unknowns. Whatever the unknowns we need to find, just find the unknowns. These are the basic steps that is involved in the analysis of any problem by using this subject, means in this subject, by using the method that is called as finite element method. Now basic phases involved in FEM. So three phases are there: pre-processing, solution and post-processing. So what are the steps that comes under pre-processing? So here the finite element mesh is developed to divide the given geometry into subdomains. This subdomain is nothing, elements or finite elements. For mathematical analysis, and the material properties are applied and also boundary condition. These things comes under your pre-processing, means we need to divide into elements and we have to see the boundary condition. These things comes under pre-processing. Then going for solution, in this phase what happens, that equation we will use and we will find the primary quantities like nodal displacement. If you found this nodal displacement up to this nodal displacement and starting from using FEM equation, F is equal to K delta. So from here to the finding nodal displacement comes under solution. And third one is post processing. In post processing, the stress, strain, these things we need to calculate. These comes under post processing, means after finding displacement only we are able to find this stress, strain developed in that structure. So this comes under post processing. So how many steps we have discussed? That basic steps is divided into three subcategories, that is pre-processing, solution and post-processing. This is nothing. Phases means just we have divided the total steps into three basic phases. Now what are the advantages of FEM? So by using, if you are using FEM, then obviously you will be able to solve the problems related to the complex geometry. Complex analysis types means like vibrational analysis, heat analysis, fluid analysis. You can go for this type of problem by using this FEM. Even you can handle complex restraint like indeterminate structures. You can go for the analysis of indeterminate structure. Yeah, already many methods are there in structure analysis also for finding or for analysis of indeterminate structure, but still this method, by using this method also you can go for this indeterminate structure. Then bodies comprise of non-homogeneous material, bodies comprise non-isotropic material, that is orthotropic and anisotropic. So if the complete meaning of this line is nothing, if composite material is also there, you will be able to find the stress strain developed in that material by using this method, that is finite element method. Special material effects are handled such as temperature dependent. Suppose due to temperature some properties are changing, elastic property means strain will be developed. So this means nothing, it is heat analysis. We can say this is heat analysis. So that type of problem also we can solve by using this. So these are the advantages over the other subject, other methods for analysis. We are going for the indeterminate structure, analysis of indeterminate structure. Different methods are there. Moment distribution method is there, Keynes method is there, but that methods are slightly lengthier. Okay, so coming to FEM, for whether it is indeterminate or whether it is determinate, the process is same, the steps are same. So there is no difference between a determinate structure or indeterminate structure. Whatever be the structure, we will follow the same steps. Only it works on boundary condition. Only you should know the boundary condition. Now for any method or anything, if some advantages are there, so along with some disadvantage will be there. So what are that disadvantage? Disadvantage is a specific numerical result is obtained for a specific problem. Experiences and judgments are needed in order to construct a good finite element model. So if you are modeling a finite element model, if you want to model that, then obviously you should have some experience how to divide the total structure into small elements, because if you are dividing the total structure into small elements, that a small element should be in whether triangular form or rectangular form. So how we will divide that? We will get this rectangular and triangular form. So we should have some experience, then only we can do that. So this is one of the disadvantage, and as well as a specific numerical will get some specific problem. This is not for generalized. We cannot say generalized equation. We cannot find some general thing by using this FEM method. So this is also a disadvantage. A powerful computer and reliable FEM software are essential. Suppose we have a complex problem, very complex problem, then we have to go for the software. FEM softwares, some softwares are there that is based on this method, finite element method. So we have to use that method, softwares, for finding the solution. Numerical errors such as limitations of the number of significant digits, rounding off occurs very often. In this, that rounding off problem after decimal, some 8 digits or 10 digits are coming, we are taking up to 2. So what will happen? It will affect the final result. So final result will be very slightly different, not only slightly, sometimes even more difference between the exact solution and this solution by FEM will be very different. Like if the total actual solution we got as 0.27, this is exact solution, and if you are using this FEM you can get 0.3 to 0.33, like that. That difference you will get due to this rounding of problems and all. And you know this is just a approximation method, so obviously it will have the value near to the exact value, it will not have the same value. That's why we are calling it as a approximation method. Next one, the FEM is applied to an approximation of mathematical model of the system. Same we have discussed here, approximation method, and that result will be different from the exact solution. So these are the disadvantages of this subject or disadvantage of this method. Now applications, if you will see, so applications already we have studied little bit that where we will apply this method. So steady state heat transfer, transient heat transfer, steady and unsteady fluid flow, this comes under fluid mechanics, heat analysis, linear response spectrum, linear random variable problems, linear frequency response, critical buckling load. So these are the applications of that subject, means FEM, finite element method. These are the applications. Now coming to the next, elements and its type. So elements, already we have discussed what is that elements. Element is nothing, discretized, small size and regular shape parts of the big size and irregular shaped domain are called as finite elements or elements. Means big size is there some, and we have divided it into a small portion. So these small portion are called as elements or finite element or subdomain. If we will say this is a domain, then obviously this small portion is the subdomain of this domain. So subdomain also sometimes we call it as subdomain. So types you can see, this is one dimensional element, two dimensional element, three dimensional. So one dimensional element is nothing, bar element, like this. This is your bar element. Beam element is also one dimensional, like this. Beam element is there, supporting, let's take this is the support we have provided for this. So these two are the one dimensional element, because we will take only length in that. We will not consider the thickness of the beam and thickness of this bar element. We will only take the length. That's why it is one dimensional. So coming to rectangular element and triangular element, these are your two dimensional, because in this we will take length as well as width also. Here length as well as width also we are taking. That's why it is called as two dimensional element. And three dimensional element means brick shaped and tetrahedral elements are called as three dimensional. Even cubic also, cuboidal also will be under three dimensional element. So elements based on the shape, we can say one dimensional element, two dimensional element and three dimensional elements. Now coming to degree of freedom, this is very important to understand. Degree of freedom. So degree of freedom is defined as direction of a space along which the deformation is possible to occur. So I will tell you with example. Suppose fixed support is there. First I am going for this fixed support. Fixed support is there. So how many types of displacement can occur at this point? Horizontal displacement, vertical displacement as well as moment. But if you are applying the fixed support, what is happening? It will resist all three displacement. What will do? It will not allow it to move in x direction, it will not allow it to move in y direction, it will not allow it to rotate also. It means here degree of freedom, if you are talking about this degree of freedom, so here the degree of freedom will be 0, because at this node, if you are saying this is a node, at this node the freedom of this node to move in any direction is 0, because it is restrained, it is just fixed, it cannot move in any direction. Means the degree of freedom, there is no freedom for this node, that's why degree of freedom is 0. Now coming to this roller support, let's take this roller support, second example. Here roller support is there. What happens? Reactional force is vertical and it resists the vertical load. Means if roller support is there, it is allowed in x direction, it can move in x direction. Suppose a member is connected with this roller support. So at this, suppose this is your node, so this can move in x direction and this can rotate also, both is allowed here. So here degree of freedom will be, here it cannot move in y direction, means in this direction the movement is restricted, but in x direction and this rotation is allowed, so degree of freedom is 2. Similarly, if pin support is there, so what will happen in this type of support, the movement in x direction and movement in y direction is restricted, only rotation is allowed, so degree of freedom will be 1 here, here it is 2. Okay, so this type of loading, suppose here simple support is there, simply support, so only vertical loading it is resisting, so the degree of freedom will be 2, because this is the same case, you can see here only vertical load, right? So these are the degree of freedom. Degree of freedom means after support also, in what direction, in how many direction this nodes can move, this element can move which is connected to that support, that is called as degree of freedom. Next, nodes and its location. Yeah, that is this is also one of the important topic, nodes. So nodes, you can say a node is a coordinate location in space where the degree of freedom is defined. If you want to define the degree of freedom at this point, you have to select the node. Now I can say here the degree of freedom is like 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever you want, you can say. But for defining the degree of freedom, you should have the node. So degree of freedom for any point represents the possible moments due to loading of the structure. Now, if load is there, so how this structure will behave, in what direction it will move, so that we will find here at degree of freedom. Means suppose at this is your first node, this is your second node, so how many degree of freedom is here, you can say can move in x direction and it can rotate also. So obviously if you will say, let's say this is having 2 degree of freedom. Okay, so these are the nodes. Now coming to its location, where we will select the nodes. Nodes we understood, okay, nodes is nothing where we will define the degree of freedom in any structure. Now where we will select the node, so suppose nodes, here 2 things you need to understand. I am taking example of a bar element. Always take nodes at the ends, that is called as essential nodes or primary nodes. Always we need to take the nodes at the ends, that is fixed. So this is the nodes, first selection, means lower location will be at the end. Second thing, suppose this type of bar element is now. So we'll select the nodes at the end. First node, second node we have selected. But coming to this point, you can see the material property is changing, area is changing. Suppose this is steel, this is aluminum, or if it is same also, but area is changing, so we have to select where the property is changing. So at what point the property is changing, at this point the property is changing, so we have to select the node at this point. So the total number of nodes becomes here 3. The third rule, this is the first rule, this is the second rule. Third rule, suppose this is the bar element, so we have selected 2 nodes at the end. Suppose here a load is acting, P load, so at what point it is acting, at this point, so we have to select node at this point. So this is your additional load, that is, let's take this is third node. So at any point if load is acting, there also we need to select the node. So just remember, if material property is changing, where at what point material property is changing, we need to select node. At what point the load is acting, we need to select the node. Now suppose in this problem only, if you will take node here also, no problem, it's your wish, you are dividing this into 2 elements, the results will be better. But this is called as secondary node. Secondary node. Why this is called as secondary node? Because this node is not essential. If you will not give this node also, you can analyze this problem. But if you are using these nodes, means okay, you can go for it. Your result will be very near to the exact solution, because you are dividing this structure into number of elements. Means in this finite element method, if the number of elements, you are dividing the structure into more and more number of elements, the results will be far better as compared to the less number of elements. If you are dividing this into 10 parts, your result will be far better. If you are dividing it to 6 parts, the result of 10 part solution will be far better as compared to the 6th one. So result will be better, but this is your secondary node, because if you will not take this node also, your problem can be analyzed. So this is all about the node and their location, how we will select the nodes. Now coming to boundary condition and its type. So the information of nature of loading, nature of nodal displacement, field variables such as temperature, etc. comes under this boundary condition. Means what is the load at that point, at that node, what is the displacement at that node, what is the temperature at that node. These things are nothing boundary condition. So there are two types of boundary condition: essential or geometric boundary condition, or optional or natural boundary condition. Let's take, we have this element here, P load is acting. So two nodes we have to select at the end. There is no requirement of third node here, because if you will give also, okay, that will be secondary, but I am going with only two nodes. So node number 1, node number 2. Now if you will see the boundary condition, so boundary condition here, once see, there is no temperature issue, because I have not given that any details of temperature. Only there is displacement. We will take the displacement, nodal displacement, and feed variables like temperature, etc. means in that load also comes. So at node 1, U1, let's take displacement at this point is U1, and let's take displacement at that point is U2. So U1 is 0. Why it is 0? Because it is fixed. If it is fixed, then at this point degree of freedom is 0, because it will not allow it to move in x direction, in y direction, as well as rotation also. So degree of freedom is 0. So here U1 value will be 0 only. At node 2, U2 we need to find, because we don't know the value of U2. Now coming to loading, at this point is there any loading, external loading? No. So F external 1 is 0. Here F external 2, what is that loading condition? P. Whether it is in positive x direction or negative x direction, that also we need to see. So see, this is in positive x direction. If you will see the graphical x, this is positive, this is negative. Y, this is positive, this is negative. So positive x, that is plus P. So these are called as boundary condition. This is your boundary condition. Just we will see the nodal displacement at each node, and we will see the force. If temperature is given, then we will go for the temperature also. And whatever the boundary condition will be here in between, that is your optional. If you want, you can mention here. If you don't want, you can you will not mention also, no problem, because this problem will be analyzed by using only these details of this node 1 and node 2. Now coming to shape function, very important. So shape function is nothing, it is mathematical expression to define the geometry or shape of the element. By using shape functions, the variations of field variable like displacement, temperature, etc. within the specified element can be judged. Now what does it mean? I will tell you with an example. Let's take, this is an element at node, this is node 1, this is node 2. Here the displacement U1 is 0, here some displacement will be there, like let's take 5 mm. So now if you want to find the displacement at this point, and let's take this is L, and here from here to here it is L by 2. So now if you want to find the displacement at this point, we have not selected any node. So what we will do, we will use the shape function. We will use the shape function of this, and we will find the displacement at this point. So that shape function is nothing, mathematical expression to define the geometry of this. If you will define by using any polynomial function, if you are defining the geometry of this, then that is nothing, shape function. For example, you can see here I have taken two noded, same bar element is there, node number 1, node number 2. At this point, if you want to find the displacement or something like that, then we need some shape function. So here let's take, this is x1 and here it is x2, where this x value will be 0 here, and here x value is your L, span, total span. So now here let's take at node 1 shape function is n1, and node 2 shape function is n2. So here n1 is nothing, x2 minus x upon L, and let's take from here to here, this is x. At P point if you are finding, from here to here, let's take this is x. So n1 if you are finding, then it will be x2. You can see from here to here the distance is x2, because here if it is x1, here it is x2, x1 is 0, here x2 will be there, so obviously this length is nothing, this length is x2 is equal to nothing, L. Okay, so x2 minus x by L, this coordinate minus x coordinate by L, and n2 is nothing, x minus x1 by L. Okay, so this is called as shape functions. Now if you want to find at this point, and let's take this is L by 2. So now what we will do, we will replace this x by L by 2, and you can easily find the value of n1 and n2, whatever you want to find at this point, and by using that you can find the displacement. Okay, whatever you want you can find. So these are called as shape function. We will study this in details while coming to the problems, and derivation of the shape function. We will come to know about this in details. We have to derive the shape functions for different, this we need to derive. Just I have given here as an example, this how it came, we will derive that also in upcoming videos. Okay, just now, just for this video, just understand the thing. There is something called as shape function which defines the geometry of any structure, and by using that shape function we can find the displacement or other field variables at any particular point between any two nodes. Like here two nodes are there, so in between at any point if you want to find, you can find the field variables like displacement, you can find like stress, strain, whatever you want you can find here. Now coming to coordinate system and its type. So coordinate system, you know the coordinate system, you are being studying this coordinate system from a smaller child, means class 6th or 7th itself you are studying this coordinate system. So coming to this coordinate system, it is divided into two parts, that is global coordinate system and local coordinate system. Now coming to this global coordinate system and local coordinate system, what is that difference? You can see this figure. This is x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and this is your element. So this element, if you will see, none of the part of this element is touching this axis. None of this part of this element is touching this axis, means you can see at this point something x value, y value, z value will be there, same here also and here also. But coming to this, at this point, this is 0, 0, 0. So if any element and any point on the element or in between the element is 0, 0, 0, means that is origin, lie on or in between the element, that type of axis is called as coordinate system, is called as local coordinate system. Or if there is no you can say this point, origin point lies outside the element, then it is called as global coordinate system. Like suppose we have this bar element and this is y-axis and this is your x-axis, then obviously this is your 0, 0. Okay, so this is called as local coordinate system, because on this element itself this origin lies. Or like this also, if it is there, y-axis, x-axis, so at this point 0, 0, so in between the element 0 is there, 0, 0 means this point origin is there, so this is also local coordinate system. But coming to this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is your element, so this is called as global coordinate system. Just we need to check whether the origin is lying in between the element or on the element. If it is like that, then local coordinate system. If it is not like that, then this is called as global coordinate system. Now coming to natural coordinate system. So natural coordinate system is nothing, just it is a part of that local coordinate system, in which what happens, a set of dimensionless number whose magnitude never exceeds the unity. We need to show the points in terms of the dimensionless number whose value never exceeds unity. Means suppose if you are taking a zeta function, let's take we are taking the zeta function, so its magnitude will be from -1 to 1. It cannot extend 1 and it cannot be less than -1. So we have this, suppose we have this local coordinate x1, x2, like that we have this two noded bar element here. So same, if you want to locate like natural coordinate system. If you want to convert this into natural coordinate system, so what happens? Same, two noded. At center, let's take zeta is equal to 0, then obviously from here to here 1 and here to here unity. So from here, if we are moving in plus x direction, so zeta will be 1 here, so zeta value will be 1 at x2, and zeta value will be minus 1 at x1. This is x1, this is x2. So this is just a representation. We have represented this in terms of natural coordinate system. So natural coordinate system consists of a function that is dimensionless and whose value never exceeds unity. Why we are using this natural coordinate system, global coordinate system, local coordinate system, we will come to know well derivation of the shape function and all. We will derive the shape function in terms of Cartesian coordinate, then natural coordinate and all. There we will see what is the use of this natural coordinate, local coordinate and global coordinate. This is just an introduction video, so just understand the thing. It is nothing, just a representation of coordinate system only, where we will add a function that is dimensionless function whose value never exceeds unity. So this is all about your natural coordinate. Now what are the software packages for FEM, ANSYS, SolidWorks, Cosmos? These are the softwares that are based on this finite element method. Okay, so these are the software. Already we have talked now that these in FEM, for complex problem we have to go for the software. So these softwares you can go for. Okay, so this was all about the introduction of this FEM. I hope you understood about this subject very clearly. What is this subject? What are the technical terms that are used, that will be used throughout this subject? If you will study this subject, then shape functions, natural coordinate, boundary condition, these are the terms, degree of freedom terms that will be repeated multiple times in any unit, any topic. If you will start, then you will get these terms. So before starting that thing, you should be clear with these technical terms. So I hope you all are all got clear with the technical terms. So with this hoping, thank you, and we will continue in the next session. Thank you.